Being great at sales is essential to your business and your career, but you and I both know that the stress of selling and dealing with constant rejection can be an emotional drain. My entire brand, No BS Selling, is based on the belief that professional sales is a skill and not a personality, and that to be better at sales takes constant refinement and a dedication to your craft. This show is for salespeople and entrepreneurs who are committed to improving their sales skills and getting better results, and are sick and tired of the BS game that often happens between buyers and sellers. Welcome to the No BS Sales Podcast, and I'm your host, Walker McKay. I'll help you and your sales team make selling easier, feel less cheesy, and be more lucrative. It's time to change the rules and level the playing field between you and the people you sell to. You're already good, let's be better. Welcome to the No BS Sales Podcast, and I'm your host, Walker McKay. I want to talk to you today. I want you to listen to this podcast today because I think it's super important all the time, but especially at the beginning of the year. My message to you is do prospecting behavior. Do prospecting behavior. Most of you know what that means. Well, what that means is it's the hard stuff, right? It's picking up the phone, it's talking to people, it's meeting with people, it's networking, it's asking for referrals. It's the most important thing, number one thing you can do to grow your business. And if you're in sales or running a business, you need to hold yourself accountable for this behavior. So let me start there with accountability. And by the way, this is something I suck at, right? So I'm just being straight up with you. This is something I suck at. But every business needs to have multiple channels at which you are bringing in new business. There need to be multiple things you're doing to grow your business. I've seen it described as a stool that has to have 3 legs or 4 legs, and as a tent that needs 5 legs. I don't care how many legs you got, but it needs to be more than 2 things that you're doing on a regular basis to grow your business. So to give you a couple, I'm going to go through 4 or 5 of these things and kind of give you the ups and downs of them. Number one is to make calls. Make damn phone calls. I don't care if they're warm calls or cold calls. And it's funny how people define the warm call versus the cold call. If you're linked with somebody on LinkedIn, we can convince ourselves that's a warm call. Great, good for you. I don't care if they're warm calls or cold calls, but set a number that you're doing every single day or every single week. For example, I do 50 prospecting calls a week. I break that into 2 blocks of 25, right? So 2 days, I make 25 calls. If I block the time when I do that, it takes me about an hour to make 25 calls with voicemail and to have conversations. 2 hours, 1 hour for each 25. Sometimes it takes me a few more, but that's all. People are like, oh, cold calling doesn't work. Well, then fine, connect with them on LinkedIn and pick up the phone and call them. Make a warm call then. I don't care how you define it. The reason cold calls don't work is that you don't want to make them. Use the calls as a reason. Make the calls to set appointments. Set face-to-face appointments, video appointments, or even a second call appointment if necessary. Use it. Remember, prospecting in itself is a way, the goal of that is to build familiarity and to build connection. The long-term game of prospecting is when it's the right time, they'll have a meeting with you and we'll see if it's the right fit, right? So make calls. Number 2 is these are easy ones to make. Call your existing customers and see how you can expand your business with them. I was always told that referrals were the best way to get new business. And then I came across this and it makes so much more sense. The best way to get new business, the easiest way to get new business is to expand the current line of business you have within your current customers or sell them something new. When's the last time you picked up the phone and called some of your best customers and helped them figure out if they had any more pain or there's something else you can do to help them? I think it's a key thing to do. The other thing you can do with customers is ask them for referrals. You guys have heard some previous podcasts I've done with Bill Cates. He's the master of referral language. And I've seen this done so badly in the past where the salesperson will say to the business owner, I've done all these things for you. You owe me referrals. Bullshit. Instead of telling them that they owe us referrals or telling them how many great things we've done for them, instead, as always, I'll suggest that you ask. Hey, tell me something, John. Is there something, can you name maybe even one thing that we've done to help you this year or this quarter? Can you think of one thing? And by the way, if they can't think of one thing, guess when you want to know that? Like right now, right? If they can think of one thing or more that you're doing to help them, then you need to know that too, because it's super important that you continue doing that or doing more of that. And also maybe do more of that for other people. And then when they tell you something nice, you say, that is great, thank you so much. Do you know anybody else who might be open to taking my call, who might think that those things or that thing was a big deal too? And a lot of the times you'll get the comment, yeah, I'd love to help you, but I can't think of anybody right now, which is fine. So then you just move on, you continue, you walk around the world. Maybe it's somebody in a trade group. Maybe it's somebody else that you see on the golf course. Maybe it's somebody that you have dinner with a couple of times a year. Maybe it's somebody in your family, right? Just walk them around their world. Help them come up with one name. If they can't come up with a name, it's fine, but at least you asked. If you do the behavior of once a week even asking for referrals, it can make a dramatic difference in your business. Let's pretend how many ideal customers do you need to get referred to make a huge difference in your business? Most of us can say 2 or 3 or 4. I read this startling statistic that said that 96% of salespeople admitted that they asked for referrals 2 times or less per year. 96% of salespeople admitted they asked for referrals 2 times or less per year. I mean, come on, guys. We got to do more of this. And some people say, well, I got to wait till I've earned them. Bullshit. People can refer you on the first day they meet you. You don't have to earn referrals. People are happy to help. There's this rule, this 20-20-60 rule, right? 20% of your customers want to help you and will if you ask them to and tell them how. 20% either won't be effective at referring you or never will for their own personal reasons. But 60% want to help you and will if you ask them to and tell them how, right? And I guess I screwed that up. The first 20% will refer you automatically. They'll tell other people that they're working with you and suggest that because it makes them feel better, which, shoot, I'm all for that too. The next thing you can do to grow your business is to build a strategic network. Who are the people that call on the same type customers that you do? Not your competitors, but other people. And this depends upon your line of business. Is it people that sell another line of product that is not similar to yours, but they sell at the same level to the same kinds of people? Maybe for some of you, it's lawyers or accountants or insurance agents. Or maybe it's just somebody who's well connected around your neighbor, or not your neighborhood, but around your business, or around your line of business, or your community, depending upon your workplace, right? Who is somebody who's well connected? And I would caution you here, what I'm looking for is somebody who's well connected business-wise. It's fine to have a friend refer a friend, that's okay, but that's about half as strong or a third as strong as somebody who's doing business with somebody else referring you to that person. It just has more credibility. Another thing you can do is network with a purpose. And I say this for a specific reason. A lot of people say, oh, I love networking. I'm great at networking. What that means is they're great at going to events that have networking in the title, and they hang out with their friends, and they drink free beer, and they eat shrimp, and they say it's just great, and they network, and they do a lot of that. But if they're honest with themselves, they hadn't met anybody new, or if they have, they hadn't worked it well. So if you're going to be a networker, and I recommend that you do be a networker, go out to wherever you're going to go. I think, quite frankly, events that have the word networking in the title are the least effective. I find most of the time it's just salespeople shoving business cards in other salespeople's pockets. But anywhere you are where you're around other people, I think it's a great idea to ask, hey, what do you do? Strike up conversations with people, right? And what you're looking for, what I look for, is to find 2 people through networking every single week that I can call about business within 48 hours. Who's somebody that I run into at church, at lunch, at a meeting, when I'm at the gym, when I go to whatever kind of event. Who is one person or two people that I can call about business, have a business conversation in the next 48 hours? It's easy. You just have to look for it. And usually when I go to some event, some kind of business social event like that, I freaking dread it. And so I go there with the intent that I'm going to go do this until I find two people I can call about business. And then if I want to hang around and drink beer and eat shrimp with my friends, I'll do that. But otherwise, and most of the time, I'm going to freaking pack up and go home. And then the next piece and the last piece, and this is one that people put in varying degrees of effort into, but is social media. Use things like LinkedIn to connect with people. Make sure your LinkedIn profile is updated. It has a professional picture of you, a shoulders and headshot. You know, not drinking a beer, not hugging your kids, but just you. And you could take a selfie. It doesn't really matter. But make sure your profile's filled out and it's correct. Look for who is posting on LinkedIn right now. How can you comment on what they're doing? You can send messages to people. What I would tell you, what I'd warn you and guard you against is don't link with somebody and immediately try and sell them something. Link with somebody, send them a message, somebody you've met particularly, right? Send them a message, hey, will you link with me? I met you at the so-and-so event, or I met you at lunch. Link with me. And then over time, comment on stuff they post, or send them stuff they might be interested in, and then maybe you can see if they're open to having a phone call. But take your time. Total put off when people link with me and then in the same freaking message, they try and sell me something, or within a day they try and sell me something, right? Social media is just like, it can be just like real life. Nobody wants to be sold to, but people like to buy. And they like to buy from people that they trust. And even better if they trust you and like you. So slow down. Don't be a freaking sales jerk. Facebook can be used for this as well. You got to be careful. I'd have a business page here. I wouldn't try and sell, your professional services necessarily over Facebook, but it's a nice way to get to know people and to reach out, to have conversations, to see if they're willing to have a business conversation with you. I have just given you 6 ways, 6 channels which you can do business, which you can prospect to go find other people. Pick at least 3, probably better 4, that you are doing on a regular basis to go find new business and work them and keep track of the behavior, keep track of the numbers. How many calls did you make? How many referrals did you ask for? How many did you get? Right? How many people have you reached out to new on LinkedIn this week? How many have you kept up with? Keep track of that, because we'll always lie to ourselves. Our ego says, no, you've already done that. You don't need to do any more. You got to do more. And then make better connections. No BS sales team, thank you for listening to this. Please share it with anybody who needs to hear it. I've got a newsletter that goes out every week. If you want to be on my newsletter list, go to text the letters NOBS, no BS, right? No gaps, to 66866. 66866. Link with me on LinkedIn at Walker McKay. I also have a free Facebook group called the No BS Sales Community. Come on, love to hook up with you there. If you've learned something today and you want to share it with me, would love to hear from you. Send me an email at walker@walkermckay.com. Thank you guys. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening, and I'll talk to you next week.